was reduced by almost 30% to only 2,000 pounds. Still a huge hit, but the flak jacket does its job. This was the key to Julie's survival. Here's how this protective gear saved Julie's life. Julie's vest weighed only 2 pounds, but its anatomically molded high-density foam panels were able to absorb and dissipate the impact energy, spreading the 3,200 pounds of force across the entire surface area of the vest.
She did sustain an impact, she did sustain an injury, but the results would have been fatal had she not been wearing this vest.
This 2-pound vest, worn by a 100-pound woman, absorbed over 1,000 pounds of force. Julie's doctor made it clear there was only one reason she was still alive.
If your vest went to disperse the energy, you know, your rib could have went through your heart, or your heart would have just exploded from the blow. But thank goodness I had the vest on, because it probably saved my life.
Julie was one of the first jockeys to wear a flak jacket, and now most wear them. Not only did Julie recover, but she went on to race for another 10 years. Coming up on Sports Science, it's a baseball pitcher's worst nightmare. A line drive right back at the mound. And later, a goalie suffers an unimaginable accident on the ice. We'll analyze what happens when a hockey goalie encounters a skate. Brace yourself for more of Sports Science, Field Warriors. September 8th, 2000, Fenway Park. Yankee outfielder Ryan Thompson connects on a fastball and sends the ball rocketing straight back at pitcher Bryce Flory.
6 RBIs. Oh my gosh.
The damage from the comebacker is significant. A fractured eye socket and a broken cheekbone. The question is, what's worse? Getting hit by a pitch or getting hit by a hit? To find out, we enlist a couple of machines, a pitching machine, and the most abused member of the sports science team, Crash. First up, we're going to test the power of a beanball to find out the force behind a batter's worst nightmare.
What we've done is we've simulated him in a batter's position. We're going to have the baseball come and strike him in the side of the head.
We've placed a tech scan sensor inside between skin of the dummy and the skull of the dummy, which is the metal part. And what's great about that is this force measurement will be able to let us tell whether we'd have a skull fracture or not.
As we simulate a batter being hit by a pitch, our scientists will be looking at what's called the head injury criteria, a predictor of injury based on the acceleration of the head. The pitching machine is cranked up to fire a fastball at 95 miles an hour.
Bring in the heat!
Oh, we got it.
Right here. Gee, you think you can tell where it hit? You can see the seams of the ball.
The 5-ounce ball smashes into the censored head with 2,400 pounds of force,
Which equated to about a HIC value, or head injury criteria value, of 170. That's below the threshold where we would see any type of concussive event. So the helmet really is doing its job.
Now that our baseline has been set for a beanball, we turn our attention to a pitcher's biggest fear, the comebacker. So how much force was behind what happened to Bryce Flory on September 8th, 2000? To find out, we turn back to Crash and once again put him in harm's way. But standing in for a pitcher, Crash won't have the protection of a batting helmet. Now our scientists need to figure out how fast to crank up the pitching machine. To do this requires understanding the physics of a collision. Upon impact, a bat actually flexes and, like a slingshot, sends the ball back faster than it was thrown. Our scientists calculate that the line drive that struck Bryce Flory was traveling 120 miles an hour. That's 30% faster than the beanball. So will the comebacker generate 30% more force? As we replicate the precise conditions of Bryce Flory's accident, Crash will find out.
Fire in the hole!
So how much force did this hit generate? The beanball, traveling at 95 miles an hour, generated 2,400 pounds of force. But the comebacker, traveling 30% faster at 120 miles an hour, slams into an unprotected head with an astonishing 5,500 pounds of force, over twice as much force generated by the beanball. This is enough force to stop a Mini Cooper moving at 10 miles an hour dead in its tracks. So how quickly did Bryce have to react? Our motion tracking technology breaks down the scariest moment in baseball. Flory's follow-through leaves him only 55 feet from home plate. From the instant the ball is struck, leaving the bat at 120 miles an hour, Flory has only 312 milliseconds to react. As the image of the ball enters his eye, it's broken down into electrical impulses. The brain takes 110 milliseconds to decode this data. But as the ball travels the last 15 feet toward his head, the brain and the eyes cannot work together fast enough, and the ball is essentially invisible. In Bryce Flory's case, at the moment of bat-to-ball contact, his glove was waist-high and had to travel 26 vertical inches to impede the path of the ball. Even the slightest deflection could have saved his face, but he can't react in time. Bryce Flory recovered from his injuries, but his heart-stopping moment on the mound shows us why. If you had to choose between facing a fastballer on the mound or a screaming comebacker, you're safer in the batter's box. Coming up, this NHL goalie suffered one of the most horrifying injuries in the history of sports. For the first time ever, we'll show you how he survived. Sports Science, Field Warriors, returns in a heartbeat. Warning, the following segment contains graphic footage. Viewer discretion advised.
It's one of the most notorious moments in sports history. In the middle of a game, hockey goalie Clint Malarchuk takes a skate right across the throat. Malarchuk began to lose blood rapidly. But how bad was the injury? How close did he come to dying? Brace yourself. This is not a Hollywood special effect. It's a lot worse.
March 22nd, 1989, the Buffalo Sabres host the St. Louis Blues. Tending goal for the Sabres is Clint Malarchuk. Steve Tuttle of the Blues and Uwe Krupp of the Sabres collide in the goal. The result? Every hockey player's worst nightmare. In the collision, Tuttle's skate accidentally makes contact with goalie Malarchuk's neck.
Oh, wow. Watch Malarchuk. That's the story right now. My God, what happened? Oh, please take the camera off and don't even bring it over there.
Malarchuk's jugular vein has been cut. Within 40 seconds of the collision, Clint is rushed away from the scene of this horrifying accident. So with his jugular vein cut, how did he survive? Here to tell the tale is the man himself, Clint Malarchuk.
When I saw the first squirts of blood, I knew that it was a main artery or a main vein, a jugular vein, because the blood squirted 4 or 5 feet in front of me.
To better understand the dynamics of this frightening accident, we turn to our animation. When Steve Tuttle's skate blade met Clint's unprotected neck, it cut through the skin and into the best-known vein in the human body, the jugular. The jugular's job is to drain blood from the head, brain, face, and neck back to the heart. And any laceration can quickly cause significant blood loss.
I remember the referee leaning his hands on his knees right in front of me. His eyes were big saucers, and he looked like he was as scared as I was, probably. I remember him saying, "Get a stretcher, he's going to bleed to death."
Not surprisingly, human flesh is no match for the carbon steel blade of a hockey skate. Less than 4 millimeters wide, the business part of the skate is actually concave, in the shape of a U. So it's not really like a knife so much as it's like a twin-blade razor. As the blade makes contact, it slices through all 3 layers of skin: epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous. Tendons and muscles provide little resistance, as the speed and the weight of the skater force the blade deeper, quickly,